Hello.
You are
Welcome.
8 feet tall. Stop trying to start the show. I'm not ready. Don't do it to me. Don't do
Nathan
it to me.
hates when I start the show now. He's like, how many times do we start the show? And I'm like, loads of different times, man. Calm down.
Why was he a Christmas tree on the last episode? I was trying to cut back. I was trying to cut back on honest wargamer content because now I dress like you. And and I saw that he was a Christmas tree, and I was like, I can't. I want to so bad, but I need to quit you, Nathan Prescott. So maybe I can. I gotta get back in there.
Yeah, it's difficult to quit him. Arguably, there's two things that are definitely true. Most people watch a Monday show for Nathan. And also,
Yes.
and there's a
I don't even
significant,
like AOS.
yeah, and there's like a significant portion of the population of people in the world who don't watch the show because of Nathan. They like tune in. They're like, "What? This guy's talking for 5 hours about one game," and I'm glad those people don't watch, but I would say it's more of a 20-80 split. The 20% that stay, they're my guys, girls, MBs, whatever. But the people that leave.
Well, they don't understand. They don't get it, man. They just don't get it.
Yeah, they don't get it. They don't get it. They don't get it. That's it. And that's true. ADB does love it. We once did a Carriage on Overlord's Battletome review like 3 years ago. The last book came out, and ADB personally messaged me. It was like, best review I've ever heard. Where if you talk to me and James consistently talk about that episode as being one of those ones where we wanted to rip our own faces off. It's like, and then you see there's another command trait where you reroll ones. And you're like, oh my god, it took 4 hours. 4.
Yeah, it is like getting into like some sort of a shark cage, but with a Nana who likes AOS. I think it's kind of
right. Okay, so
the vibe. All
so
right,
today's show, ladies and gentlemen, today's show is going to be a little bit of a mashup because, as we all know, Warhammer Total War has been a massive franchise that has been very, very successful. And one of the cool things about Warhammer Total War is it's introduced and given some backstory to a lot of legendary lords. So
Indeed.
I thought what we could do is we could kind of talk through a couple of those legendary lords, or maybe all of those legendary lords, and whether or not we think they're going to make it into the old world, whether or not we think there's going to be some cross-pollination between, I don't know who makes the game, THQ, not them, someone.
Creative Assembly.
And because if you were all watching Wednesday's stream, where I do play Total War, and it was International Women's Day, so we defeated misogyny by playing as a lady. I was very proud of me in the chat.
Who was your lady?
We played as the undead vampire pirate lady singer.
Yeah,
all right, yeah. And we were warbling around the realm, and we were murdering people. It was Cloystra Diafin. That's who we played as. So we had a good time with that. But obviously, Cloystra is not in. In fact, vampirates aren't in the old world.
Well, yeah, not currently supported in the 8th edition milieu. But that's my third time saying that word on the show. Twisted One podcast. Let's see if we can do it again.
Let's go, Square Bast.
Square Bast. But that being said, why couldn't Dare to Dream? I don't know what her timeline is either. I don't know whether or not she'll fit in. That's one of the things about the interesting things about Total War Warhammer is that a lot of those characters are kind of dumped into a present timeline where they actually lore-wise don't exist at the same time. It's kind of interesting that way.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely, because as you quite rightly pointed out in one of our previous shows, call back to go watch previous content if you're just tuning in now. Val quite rightly takes us through a huge list of timeline disparities. A Doctor Who fan would love it because you get to say wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. But for people who like a bit of linear, what's it called in films when there's a problem with production along those lines? They have
Continuity error?
Continuity, yes. I think they had 30 people working on the Lord of the Rings continuity, which I was like, that seems like a lot, man. but I'm not really sure. Because I guess you got to like make sure that their hair is the same place as it was in the last shot. And if they're 6 weeks apart in filming, that's a lot to deal with, right?
Yes, absolutely. That's exactly how I felt about this shirt. We have a team of here at the Honest Wargamer. We have a team of 30 individuals coordinating various plaids.
Very. Maybe it could be like a Scottish clan where we could have our own plaid.
You don't have a tartan, bro?
I don't think. I mean, I'm actually like genetically Scottish, but a bastard of the North. Father was Scottish, but never met him. So while I'm dispossessed, I'm all sorts a dwarf from the North. That's what they call me.
Well, I was referring more to your franchise. Maybe you need to contract some sort of a Highlander to craft you up a new tartan. It's just various weaves of colored fabric. Why can't it be done?
We could go through the process of because I don't know if you know this, but you can buy like a small plot of land in Scotland and become a lord. Maybe we do that.
Turns out the whole thing was a scam.
What, being a lord? Wait, did you do this?
What?
Did you do this? Have you bought a bit of the moon?
How do I know? I mean, I would buy the shit out of a piece of the moon. But how do I know? I'm sure the Chinese are chopping it up now that they're up there. Let's change the vibe of this show and start talking about the Chinese. Cathay themed podcast. How do I know something about internet world and you don't? You missed when the Scottish Lord stuff was all an elaborate scam, like complete nonsense?
I didn't know it was an elaborate scam. I'm still reeling from the Chinese are buying the moon, man.
Yeah, it started here, man. Let's talk about those Chinese crashing the satellites into the moon.
Where are you? Are you in a bunker? Like, where?
Getting real over here.
I feel like I'm watching the 3rd episode of The Last of Us. You're just like in the bunker now. They're like, they're coming for me, Robbo. I've got square bases and and they're coming for me movement trays. There's only so many movement trays left in the world.
When the show ends, I remain. That's the thing is I continue sitting here just waiting, just brooding, biding my time for the next one. Thinking about the Chinese.
Okay, your energy is chaos today, which I'm enjoying. It's pretty fun. Okay.
Well, you are trying to take us in a direction, which was to discuss legendary lords. I was actually reflecting on a specific legendary lords. If we want to just talk a little bit about Total Warhammer, I was thinking to myself, there's like 4 Empire legendary lords for some stupid reason, and one of them is Marcus Wolfheart.
Yep. What's wrong with that?
Marcus Wolfheart. I literally was scrolling through a little bit of Facebook before, because as a fantasy playing man, one must go to Facebook for content. And I saw a picture. By the way, okay, now we're rolling. I saw a picture of like this awesome campaign thing called Warhammer Resurrection, which was the thing I was trying to call my Warhammer event. So it already exists.
No.
Yeah, it's in Cardiff. It's a really cool thing. Anyway, I'm scrolling through, and what do I see but a group of huntsmen led by Marcus Wolfheart on the table. Literally have never seen that in my life. It doesn't exist. It's a thing that doesn't happen. Marcus Wolfheart, I don't know. Hands up in chat if you have ever seen Marcus Wolfheart in model form somewhere, because they're $300 each if you want to buy one right now. And 2,
holy shit.
he's just a little derpy dork because he was only released in 8th edition. So he lasted for 5 years or whatever. That's the whole time he was out. And he sacked. He was absolutely useless. Rule of cruel. Of course you ran him in 8th. Because you're cool. You're cruel even. So Marcus 'How this guy became one of 4 legendary lords for the Empire, which, by the way, is also a travesty. Why there's only 4. And one of them is Marcus Wolfheart. And is this the only legendary lord that I have ever played with? Yes, absolutely. Why? Why? Because colonialism.
Yes, yes. Square bust. Right,
Square
so oh no, you've made me laugh too much. All right, so like, what I was thinking about doing is you could pick a faction, and we could talk about some of those legendary lords, and then where, if we think that they're going to returneth in in the new old world, as they call it, the new old world.
The New Old World, a Warhammer Fantasy podcast.
That's
I
us.
think it's not Square Best. Parentheses, double parentheses, Square Best. The thing is, maybe we'll get to know about Marcus Wolfhart's great grandfather, because the only thing I care less about than Marcus Wolfhart is his family and where he came from.
I hope we see. I hope the first novel is Dedrick Wolfheart, great grandfather, sorry, of Marcus Wolfheart. I hope that they just do all of that. Like it's like Baal Franz. Like they just re-release all of the miniatures. Yeah. Baal Franz. So anyway, so do you want to like?
I was trying to reverse the first letters of Karl Franz, and I thought to myself, I guess that would be Karl Franz, and that's where my brain's at right now.
Karl Franz.
Can't even scramble the first. I can't even
Falkrans.
Anywho, yes.
Falkrans. Well, okay, so like pick me a faction and then we'll look at the legendary lords. How's that sound? Especially ones because we know that like all the Empire guys won't be in it.
They're dead.
They're dead.
All of them are dead.
Well, they're unborn.
That's correct. They're just and shit, think about it.
Oh
no, they already said that we can't alter the timeline in any way. We are in a universe, not multiverse. So therefore, no, we can't erase Marcus Wolfheart from his future family photo. Like some sort of Back to the Future moment.
Do you want to start a savage campaign in the old world where we all dominate Dedrick Wolfheart, the grandfather, and erase the opportunity for him to be born? Okay, I'm in. The unborn. Yeah, so pick me a faction. Which one do you want to look at?
Just spinning the wheel on the old faction here. Looking at my cabinet. The dwarfs.
Dwarfs, no problem. Let me give you. They all came out mainly in Total War 1, but there are some others. So let me go find them bad boys for you. La Dwarfos. Actually, in the first edition of Total War, we only got Thoric Ironbrow. Thoric, the man on the cart, I think. Oh, wait, no, that's not true.
That's Thorgrim.
Sorry. No, we got Ungrim Ironfist, Thorgrim Grudgebearer. So we got that bad boy. Thorgrim! I said that right. Thorgrim?
I think so.
I think Thorgrim.
I've actually never stopped to look at the word. This might be a moment where I've realized I have not been saying the word right my entire life. Hold on, let's see here.
What is it? Thorgrim. That's right.
Thorgrim,
you're right.
I think.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not. What did I say? Thorgrim.
Thorgrim.
You see, what I did was dyslexically put the R before the O, so I apologize.
Hey, I do it too. That's why I didn't immediately assume you were wrong, because I was like, I do this all the time.
Yeah.
Yep, Thorgrim. Yep,
yeah.
We got it.
So we got it. Okay, we're good. We're at pronounce one name correctly.
Okay, but let's go to the second name on the list, because I just learned there's an N in it.
Oh, did you?
Ungrim.
Ungrim.
Iron Fist.
What have you been saying? Ungrim.
Just Ungrim.
Fucking Ungrim.
Fucking Ungrim, bad.
And then Grombrindle.
The Grombrindle.
The Grombrindle. So we should talk about these a little bit, shall we? So we got, as we talked about, Thorgrim.
He came in a white dwarf, Grombrindle.
He did come in a white dwarf, and he is the white dwarf, so that's quite funny.
Isn't that amazing that like White Dwarf managed to put a digital asset in a print magazine. Games Workshop put a digital asset in a print magazine. It's a beautiful thing, man.
2023 is absolutely wild.
God bless them.
Yeah, they're doing really good stuff as a. So
Well, this is some time ago. This is like 2018 probably. Like I mean, it was still pretty impressive though.
It was pretty impressive. Yeah, I mean, we're not miles away from 2024 White Dwarf having a CD on it.
Do you think they call it back?
Like restart the DVD market. Like I'm super into that. That'd be great.
No, CD-ROM, man, CD-ROM. Like not even, bud. Okay, so we're looking at these what do they call them? The Druki.
Wait, what? No, we're not talking. No, we're going to talk about the characters. Let's talk about.
Nope, you're right. Druki are dark elves. My bad.
Yeah, no, we're talking about the
Dowie.
Dowie.
The fancy word for the Dowie. There we go.
The Dowie, yeah. So Thorgrim, sorry, I forget that right. Thorgrim is I played an entire Total War campaign live on Twitch where I was battling this guy. I think I must have said it wrong every time, so
it's fine.
Just shout out to the chat for not like being rude and being fucking supportive. Every time I was like, "We're gonna beat Thorgrim," they must have been like, "You." Just drinking their cups of tea at home, being like, "That fucking idiot!" Like, bless him, he's tried so hard.
You just need 30 seconds of me, baby. Bring you right down to earth.
So
getting a little big for those britches.
It's getting a little too big. Oh yeah, we were rude just in private. Thanks, chat. Appreciate you. Right, okay. So he's the faction leader of the Dowie, the dwarfs, and dwarfs are very long lived.
Yeah, he's. I think when I did my timeline study, I believe Thorgrim is either a beardling or just coming around. So he's like he's youngish.
Shit, we get like baby Thorgrim.
Yes,
That's pretty cool.
So.
Do you remember? Well, of course you do. You know the Valton model.
So the various versions of Valton, do they come from the original War Against Chaos, like that? I mean, like the retconned campaign that they did, because they do kind of come out of nowhere. I know they exist in the end times too, but I feel like I don't really know where they fit in. They're strange. Also, for some reason, not a legendary lord.
Yeah, very weird. So, because this is kind of like one of my favorite miniatures. Like,
great throwback. Yeah.
I legit love this because what I like about this is you get the character in the like evolving state of their like rise from farm village boy with a couple of hammers up to legendary lord status, and I would love them to do character packs like this, where we see kind of like, especially maybe if we're going and deep diving back into the old world. I know for a fact that the Specialist Design Studio, formerly known as Forge World, would maybe enjoy hearing these ideas. Not saying that they're fans of the show, but maybe they are fans of the show.
Who knows who lurks out there in Chatland? I would say too, actually, interestingly, Fantasy, for whatever reason, has played with this idea a few times, because you also do have a younger and an older von Karstein. You have an Acolyte Manfred, and you have an older Manfred. I don't think Acolyte Manfred ever got a model, but like they definitely play with this concept in the rules for sure.
Yeah, well, the reason I bring it up, because I think Valton's kind of like the perfect character release, and up until this moment, I haven't really thought that through, but it would be especially great to have a character in their 3 stages of kind of story progression, and then also them have different data sheets / like abilities, because that's hot, man. Like that original, like when I bought that, I was like, this is amazing. I love that I can like pay homage to the character that is. Valton's always been probably one of my favorite releases from Games Workshop because of this. Because I was like I absolutely love the final version. I love the beginning version as well, and I could see it told me the whole story just in the miniature, which I think is kind of brilliant. Like that was just awesome, right? In my personal opinion.
Also, like that's as close as you kind of get to having like a Sigmar Heldenhammer, which holy shit, Sigmar's last name is just Holding Hammer.
Do you know Sigmar? Yeah, he's the one. He's the one holding the hammer.
Stop the show. Stop the show. Oh my god, we've done it. We've done it. We've cracked the fucking code.
We've done it.
Sigmar Holden Hammer.
Forever his name. Forever his name.
That's that square bast analysis, man.
That's it.
Ooh.
That's what you. That's the only. Yeah, you speak German. That joke.
That's a pretty working class name. Like clearly, you know, his family had a proud tradition of just holding a hammer.
I mean, to be fair, they carry this on like a lot. Like Thorgrim is just the Grudgebearer. Like,
yeah.
It's like maybe the old world is just descriptive. It's just like what your job is. Are you okay?
or just what you were doing when someone walked by and gave you a name. Right, it's mate. It's got a big hammer. We're gonna call him Heldenhammer.
Oh, apparently it's in German. Held in German is hero. So his name is literally. Yeah, Hero Hammer.
That's also very good.
That's also very good.
Ooh.
That's pretty good.
I don't know why that opened the floodgates, but maybe I was just trying to generate some shorts content for my editing debut. Wow.
Squabmaster.
Okay. Well, where were we? You're trying to honestly talk about Thorgrim, and I will honestly try and follow along.
I don't want that now. Now I just want
Nope.
a picture of of Sigmar Heldenhammer. Is that his name?
It's Heldenhammer, is it?
Holdenhammer. Holdenhammer.
Holdenhammer.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So Thorgrim is the legendary, but also like the faction leader. But he won't be the faction leader. What I was talking about was Valton. Maybe we can get a beardling version, a like teenage emo punk rebellion version, and then old wizened mortgage having Thorgrim.
That's the 8th ed version. Getting dragged around in his cart, just writing in his book, grumbling to himself, pissed off. Belgar always getting into trouble.
Brexit was a good idea. I was right.
Oh, if there's a pro Brexit faction in Warhammer, it is 100p, the dwarfs.
Oh, yes, correct.
Oh, I got a little anecdote. Just because we're all over the map here. I finished Scarsnik.
The book, nice.
Yeah. So when I was on my trip, like I literally started Scarsnik on the same trip 1 year ago. So I was like, "Fuck, I gotta finish this book." So I finished Scarsnik, and the thing is that Scarsnik, who's also known as the Goblin, goes schemes. I got schemes. Is an evil motherfucker, man. He's a bad person. He's a bad person. And by the end of it, they do like also who writes that book? He's a really good author, I think.
I'll find out
one of their good ones. Guy Haley. And it's horrifying what they do to dwarfs. Horrifying.
Guy Haley.
There's like all this talk about like they make stuff out of dwarfs. Like they talk about like dwarfs parchment that's made out of their skin. Like they are just horrifying to dwarfs and how they treat them. And like there's this one situation where they're describing Scarsnik's like really clever ability to like fight the dwarves, in which they parade out a dwarf like beards. They call it like beard scalp him. Like so they cut his beard skin off his face, and then they poop on him in front of the other dwarfs. And I'm just like, this is intense, man. Like, this is almost too much for me. So by the end of it, I was sick of those goblins. I have zero empathy for goblins, and for some weird reason, I wanted to vote leave.
Drinking on Weatherspoons. Absolutely perfect.
Shave the rich. Anyway, so yeah, it was I thought a pretty amazing bit of writing, in the sense that, like, the protagonists, like, when you get a real good like anti-hero story, like, this is one of the reasons why I kind of like was mad at Breaking Bad at the end, because I felt like his uppance didn't really come. I was kind of mad at Mad Men at the end, because I also felt like the sort of anti-hero of that show didn't really get what was coming for them at the end. Scarsnik, I really wanted to, like, hop into a Belagar campaign in Total War and murder that guy, because he is like true evil. He's awful. And
But is that written? Is
yeah.
that written from the dwarven perspective? Is this dwarven propaganda?
No, Skarsnik is. That's amazing how you phrase that. Skarsnik is literal Skarsnik propaganda. So the premise of the book is that they kidnap some adventuring playwright who's like I don't know. I guess he was trying to like inspire himself, and went to the equivalent of Warhammer Afghanistan and got kidnapped by goblins. And so he winds up getting dragged up to Skarsnik, who wants this guy to write the book of his, like, amazingness and why he's, like, so deadly. And he wanted to be more famous in the Empire, so he wanted a playwright to write him a story, or a novelist to write him a story. And so that's the premise of the book. It's literal goblin propaganda. So
Well,
it's all from the perspective of Skarsnik.
The chat is saying this is a small goblin who overcame the capitalist infrastructure and took over. #squarebast.
I mean, they are. I mean, goblins are kind of bloomed into, because they're fungus. Some sort of a very strong hereditary. It can't even be hereditary. It's just sort of like, geez, wow, what is the social economic, like, Marxian read of orc culture? Because you're born into what you do. You know
I
what I
see
mean?
what you're saying. Yes.
But it's not hereditary. It's just, like, genetic. What is this?
Oh
Is
yeah. What are they saying? Well, I mean, Old World is a lot of that, right? Like, you're a dwarf, and so racially, this is your personality, and you're like, ugh, boy.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's all of these, like that's a faction trope, or, like, whatever. Like, again, we call them races. This game is racist.
Yes.
I mean, that's fine. I mean, these are all things, the table stakes of it. But anyway, why am I talking about Scarsnik? Because we're talking about Thorgrim, and I have empathy for dwarves.
Okay, I understand. I mean, I kind of like dwarfs in the game. They represent the working man, building some good old machines, I think, in lots of ways, striving for riches and the middle class of a good old hold, I think, is what.
And, like, in the days before, like, the shipbuilding moved away to India, like, the dwarves are, like, definitely, unions on hard times.
Yeah.
Like, all of their stuff is like they're definitely in the twilight of their civilization.
I really enjoyed, like, the chat are really going to bat for Scarsnik. I want you to know that. Like everyone, like, dwarves just want to frack everything. Scarsnik overcame the gold-hungry bourgeoisie dwarves, and he's wanted to secure a homeland for his tribe. Yeah, like, there's a lot of Real Polygeek says goblins are just Calvinist metaphors. There's like a lot of dissection happening here.
I love it.
I love it too. Tory dwarf stepping on the common working goblin. I agree. Yeah, but I like how it's framed. They're like, the dwarfs just stopping the goblins from working. What are the goblins doing for work? Murdering. That's what their job is. Murder.
Well, have we not learned anything about the true capitalist, anarcho-capitalist, metaphor that are the Skaven? Did we not all go to school here, guys? On the satire present in the fantasy realms? That the Skaven, in fact, are the true capitalist warmongers also part of the whole thing going on in the Eight Peaks?
Yeah, but what are we? What are we like? Are we dealing this like? Are we being a Horatian fuck and dealing with them gently, or are we being Juvenalian? Like, where are we attacking? Like, what's the read on the old world? It doesn't make any sense. They treat some quite clearly like Dryker's like that, right? Like Dryker's like, hey, what if hippies are evil? And you're like, maybe they're not evil. They're bitter, horrible, twisted women hippies. And you're like, okay, all right,
Well, although
take a chill out, man.
well, hold on a second here, because like Wood Elves, by the way, great thing to bring up in a fantasy podcast. Wood Elves. There's a thing that got co-opted eventually by like some weird internet garbage, like it's called Gaia. But like the concept of Gaia, which I thought was always kind of neat, that I sort of remember it as, was that like the Earth is sort of a like an overall organism, and it's reacting to the like rash of humanity in angry ways, and so it is responding to us violently, essentially, when we upset it, and that's the way I like to think of the Wood Elves. Like they are the sort of the world or the planet responding back in a violent way, right?
Yeah, I think Drycher's definitely that. I think some of the other elements of the Wood Elves are more like they're more isolationist, like in lots of ways, mainly because like and protectivist of like everything around them. But like then they don't care about like the greater world, and that's kind of at odds with their process, right? They're like, we want to protect the forests and nothing else, and then you're like, okay, but like if you'd have pushed beyond those boundaries and like integrated into the rest, then you could have maybe advocated for the protection of the forest before they turned up at the forests. That's kind of their flaw in their isolationism creates the friction, and then doesn't help with like they don't get a positive response from their position. But yeah, like I mean, it's just Tolkien, right? Like I
Yeah, it's the
sometimes,
ants.
yeah, we just need sometimes we just need third world literature, and by that I mean like a world separate to our world to just be like, hey, Isengard has all of the machines, and the trees are breaking the machines. Get it?
Okay,
Do you get it? And
that's
we're like, we get it. Thanks.
that's good, because I was concerned for a second you're suggesting we read literature from other cultures, and I much prefer it be reinterpreted through the lens of people who live in Nottingham, UK.
And only that.
That's the only way I want to learn about the world.
And only that. Never. I want nothing else. Okay, right. To return to Thorgrim. So he may be a beardling in the time that we're probably going to see the new Old World released.
Yeah, like he's youngish. I don't think he's the king yet. I think he's youngish, but he is present in the Great War Against Chaos, from what I recall.
Okay, interesting. I'm going to try and find out where he came from. See if the wiki's got that information. There's loads of like in-game stuff, but I don't know. Oh, I thought that this would potentially have the narrative, but it turns out it doesn't. It's just got Total War stuff, which makes loads of sense that it's only got Total War stuff on the Total War wiki. So
yeah, you gotta go to the Warhammer wiki, which is where I'm at.
All right, okay. I'm gonna go find him right now and find out if there's anything on him as like a kid. If there's any kid info.
Do you like Thorgrim? Well,
Oh,
love him as a
Beardling.
kid.
Yeah. You like the angry young right? History. Okay. Let me try and find out. The Great Book of Grudges. That's him. That's that guy. The High Kings have kept the Great Book of Grudges, the oldest and most important of the many Book of Grudges. Maybe something worth talking about. We haven't touched on the Book of Grudges yet, that exists through Dwarf realms. This book, known as Damaz Kron, recounts all the ancient wrongs and deeds of treachery perpetrated against the dwarf race. Its pages are written in the blood of High Kings, and its tattered parchment is much thumbed and studied. Interesting. Do we know where the book ever came from originally? It's just always been in possession. Was there like a founding of the book?
It probably comes from the War of the Beard. I would assume, or sometime sometime back there. I made that up just now. But like, there's the thing that like brings the dwarves down, and this is a really good series from what I've read. Maybe I'll start reading it, and I'll have a book report for you in 5 years.
Perfect.
There's like the war against the elves, which is like over a like small insult that basically begins the fall of the dwarves into like second tier status. But it might come from back then. Who knows?
Did you? Yeah, Thorgrim just writing his book. Carl Franz is a nasty skank bitch. Yeah. So Angry Pants in the chat says War of the Beard. Perfect. Thank you. Did you see the like the loving nod to that reference in the Total War 3 Immortal Empires trailer?
To what reference?
So to the war, the small slight between high elves and the dwarfs that kind of caused.
Oh yeah, like let's not be short tempered or something like that.
Yeah, let's not be short tempered. Yeah. The dwarfs are like, oh, I can't believe it. I'm going back to Weatherspoons.
What's the who's the legend that like stood on his knees for all of the Lord of the Rings movies? Something Dreyfus. Is it Dreyfus? Can't remember it now. He's got a massive name.
What?
You know, when they're like, "You have my axe and my sword." You know that meme, like the guy who plays Grimly, whatever his name is.
Gromley is his new name. I now only call him Gromley. Yeah, can't believe Gromley. Yeah, and legless. Right?
John Rhys Davis. You have my axe, but instead it was more tumultuous between them.
It was fairly tumultuous between them. Yes. In the War of the Beard, it was Malekith who instigated the whole thing, right? Apparently. Featuring. Wait, hold on. Wait, Val, this is very important. I'm obviously on Lexicon, which is covered in ads. But the ad. Oh, you missed it. But the ad that I'm currently getting is for Big Bass Splash.
I can see it.
Because I keep saying Square Bast.
Coincidence? I think not.
I think
Thanks,
not.
algorithm.
Thank you, algorithm. I appreciate you.
Maybe the algorithm can read this badass logo behind me.
Maybe that's what it's.
Oh no! So I gotta lean this way. Yeah,
Square Bast.
I do have an update about Thorgrim in the timeline of the old world.
Okay. Yes. Good. That's what.
The new old world.
New old world.
Which is that he is Thorgrim Grudgebearer is crowned High King of Karazakarak. And starts a campaign to retake lost dwarven lands. So that is basically after the Great War against Chaos. So I assume he does some work. So he's not king yet.
Do you want to hear? Okay. Do you want to hear his backstory, or at least what the wiki says?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yes, the Falcon's in the chat.
No.
Kaka.
No.
Yes. Thorgrim would be Norska during the war against Chaos. Well.
Yeah, because there's like a lost dwarf hold as well from up there that everyone when that map came out and all the fantasy bros and gals were getting all yeah.
Which map?
There's like this is a map that they've been slowly releasing with flags on it for the old world. It's like the only content we get.
I wish there was some way for me to work out who was responsible for doing that map. I wish there was some way for me to be able to know who did the map. That would be, I don't know.
Well, can we tell whose hands those are? That's my question.
It's a great question. I'm not sure. Like, I don't know.
Also, that seems like a very uncomfortable way to make a map.
Yeah, that seems very difficult.
Could you not get a desk? Because do they not have a drafting table?
No. The lady on the right of this picture that we're showcasing, by the way, is oh god, her name's Holly, but last name's changed now because she's married. But she's Thingy, the
patriarchy, man.
But she's the sculptor's daughter. Sorry. What's the famous sculptor? The guy, the artist, did
Brian
Eldar,
Nelson?
invented Eldar.
J.J. Abrams.
Oh my god! Come on, Jez Goodwin. Yes, it's Jez Goodwin. Jez Goodwin's daughter.
It's a bit like this.
Yeah, Jez Goodwin's daughter. So Holly Goodwin. But she's changed her name now, so that's who's working on that. So there you go.
Maybe it's a bit of a Nick Cage situation, and she wants to like be known on her own merits.
Yeah, absolutely, of course. Why? Who's Nick Cage's dad?
He's a Coppola.
Is he?
Yeah. Am I crazy?
Well,
Nicolas
Francis
Cage?
Ford Coppola is Nick Cage's family, at least.
I think he's an uncle.
Fuck off.
Yeah, you didn't know that? Boom.
That's insane.
Yeah, he's Nicholas Kim Coppola.
That's why he's such a talented actor.
Yeah, definitely, man. Everything's hereditary, dude. Like you're like we're range bound here.
Damn it. Oh my god. I can't wait to abandon my kids. That's what my dad did. Oh, sad. Right, let's listen to what Thorgrim did as a kid. Since an early age, Thorgrim has dreamed of avenging his people and perhaps one day to put aside the Great Book of Grudges by striking out every single grudge it contains. I like that it starts off with they give him a massive book and he's like, this is a lot to carry around. Like, how much have we got to deal with here? Okay, this feels achievable. Let's get this done. Yeah,
and that's why Miniac could never be a dwarf.
That's
the grudge bloat is too much.
There's too many grudges in here, man. I mean, he would have to read the whole book. To put aside the Great Book of Grudges by striking out every single grudge it contains, such a thing would be impossible even in 1,000 lifetimes. But dwarfs are determined folk, and once their mind is made up, they are obstinate. Interesting.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Okay. He campaigned in Norska with the Norse Dwarfs. There are Norse Dwarfs.
Yeah, didn't Pete just tell us that?
Pete did tell us that, but I don't think I picked up on that.
I too try to not pay attention to what Pete says. But yeah, apparently there's Norse dwarves. And that's the thing. There's a keep up there that like gets lost in this. There's the Norskin Dwarfs Old World map. There's a guy in Norse Dwarfs.
Yeah, so hold on. So Norse dwarfs have much in common with their human neighbors and often join them in battle. They especially enjoy drinking, fighting, and brawling, and drinking. Said twice. And so much so that even the other dwarfs have been known to say that they are a mite too unruly with the ale at times. So they're literally talking about Northern England, which is rude in my opinion, or the Scottish. The Norse
Vikings. There's so
no,
many Viking
they're
analogs.
talking about the Scottish. This is literally
Scottish.
The Scottish. The Norse dwarf kings do not owe fealty to the dwarf high king, much to his annoyance. What? So there are dwarfs who do not swear fealty to the high king. Bro, that's awesome.
There's got to be some renegade dwarfs out there. One might even say chaotic.
Did you Skype me that you'd made a good joke?
No, but I'll start doing that. I wonder if I have a sub anniversary I could remind everyone about. No, I just sent you a post with the dwarf hold on the Norskin dwarf hold depicted on a Warhammer 3, but also clearly Old World map.
Yeah, fantastic. Okay, so Prague's here, and then the Norse dwarfs are in the far top left-hand corner, or to quote a compass, northeast.
No, not
northwest. Northwest.
Tried to see. The problem was you tried to get technical. Fell flat, but it's all right.
Turn the car around. Which way? Left. Keep heading left till the sunrise.
Hey, 2 rights don't make a wrong, but 3 lefts make a right, bud.
Let's go. Thank you to the Falcon for also helping us out. And Hiking Algrickson is like, give this guy a crown because chaos has made me be too unalive. Soon. Uh-oh. Okay, thank you to some Norwegian dude for donating a gift sub as well. It's appreciated. So
Thanks, Norwegian dude.
So also those not Chaos Dwarfs but Northern Dwarfs who don't swear fealty are also near Troll Country. Like, just sell me that box. You can immediately sell me the Trolls versus Dwarf battle box. I'm in. Like, that's easy money. Tell me some stories, give me some adventures, print me some kegs. I'm in.
I'm trying to wrap my brain around, where are we? Forest of Shadows, Middle Mountains.
Prague is just here. So this the Chaos Wastes is in the top. So we're looking at the Chaos Wastes. So to the southeast is the Empire, and further south is the vampire area, where whatever that's called.
Sylvania, Transylvania.
Yeah. Norse dwarves might also be werebears. What?
Oh, we're super north. Okay, I get what I'm missing. I'm like, where's Nordland? Okay, cool. So yeah, we're actually like we're basically
Kislev.
past. We're past the Scandinavian peninsula. Yeah, we're in. That's actually like the Arctic Sea in the Earth equivalent, is what you're looking at there.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, got it. Okay,
the Frozen
great.
Sea. Who would have guessed that it's the Arctic Sea when it's something called the Frozen Sea? I could have just read what I was looking at. Yeah, I couldn't figure out where the Empire was. Okay, I've never actually really explored this part of the world before. This is kind of neat.
If you play the Kislev campaign in Total War, this is kind of your start area, which is quite fun, because then you're dealing with Norskans around here. You've got Dreicher just underneath in one of the big forests, and then you've kind of got the Empire and, like you said, Sylvania to the south. But going past Kislev north, this was because Kislev were the kind of like front line against Chaos, right? That's kind of like that was their role in many ways. So that's up here, and then top is we got the Norse Dwarfs. I can't believe there are Norse Dwarfs. I never knew. This is so fun. That's fun. So like you could even if you played as if dwarfs are in the new old world, we've even got the opportunity to play non high king dwarfs, I guess would be the way to describe them.
Yeah, well, yeah, they're like but my question is, why what are they up to? Why aren't they and also, does Thorgrim come from these guys?
Does Thorgrim come from these guys?
Yeah, is he a Norse dwarf or no?
No. So let me just he campaigned in Norska. So it doesn't say that where he was born at all. But he campaigned in Norska with the Norse Dwarfs, re-establishing ties with them, and even entering several of the lost holds to gather and return lost artifacts, including the Golden Scepter of Norgrim. Okay, so let me just go find out what that is. The Golden Scepter of Norgrim is a powerful rune artifact of Karakazul. It's so beautifully crafted that master artisans have been known to break down in tears when they touch it.
They get really intense about their stuff. Not gonna lie, these dwarves. Yeah. Oh man, you also just kind of triggered me a little bit, because I remembered what Scarsnik was doing when he was skinning and pooping on the dwarf guy. Is he was trying to trick the this dwarf. It's where Scarsnik's trident comes from, and it's actually a dwarf relic that they trick the this rune guy to rune priest to come and try and rescue his pal, and instead he gets gang tackled and they steal his trident. So it's very sad, actually, and I'm kind of bummed.
I like how much you really hate what happened to the dwarf. You're like, it was just a bad time, man.
It was very visceral. It's I'm there, man. It was visceral. I don't know. Is this what all Warhammer fiction's like? It was really heavy. I prefer being much more coddled.
More whimsy.
More whimsical, please.
I would really.
I just want more holding of hammers. I just want some holding of hammers.
Yeah. What about the Discworld version of Warhammer Fantasy Battle? How's that look? Give me that. Give me whimsy in the dark. That's what I want. Okay, so he got the Golden Scepter back, and when High King Alricsson returned from the Great War against Chaos, so this is the timeline you're talking about, he had suffered various wounds that would not fully heal and called a council of kings to decide the succession. Although many present were impressed by Brogar of the Angrund clan and Ungrim Iron Fist, it was Thorgrim whose deeds and words led him to be acclaimed the next High King. His final task achieved, Alricsson passed away. So, I didn't show that on screen there, but there we go. So that's how it. So he basically campaigned in the north. So he's kind of a Caesar dwarf. Campaigned in the north, established a good reputation, came back, didn't necessarily poison High King Alricsson, but maybe we don't know.
Okay.
And then positioned himself to be the next High King, and then he did, and has a vengeance in the book. So you think we potentially won't see Thorgrim, but we might see High King Alricsson and his eventual battle in the Great War against Chaos. That'd be fun.
I think you'll see like an acolyte Thorgrim, and then but Alricsson will be the main legendary lord. But yeah, no, they'll have to anyone who's present from both timelines, you gotta figure they're gonna go for those feels. They're gonna go and grab like a slightly fresher faced looking sculpt of Thorgrim. Maybe he's a little more in shape because he's not getting carried around on a palanquin everywhere.
That would be pretty awesome. That would be really, really cool, I think. I actually am digging that we're going back in time. I think maybe that's one of the things that's so weirdly interesting about the Heresy is you have the established timeline, which is intentionally kind of murky and long-winded. And then they're like, by the way, here we go, we're going to sell that to you as well. And I'm like, yeah. Because once the Heresy's over, guess what? I want the Unification Wars. I want the Thunder Warriors. I want the War on Earth. You can keep pushing the timeline back. I'm happy, weirdly, because I've kind of established these characters already. So I want you to give me how they appeared.
Oh, so you want to go further deep back in time? It gets very un-40K the further back in time you go. It's interesting.
I'm not. I guess I'm welded to the story, and I guess the problem is with new story, they've just released Vashtor, for instance, right? And you're like, that's cool and exciting and it's new, but there's something about kind of delving into the history. I guess that's because both 40K and also Warhammer Fantasy Battle are established on a very long history, which I think it's interesting to explore the history versus maybe produce new events. I'm not sure. I think producing new events is also cool. I don't know. I quite like finding this stuff out though, because it feels like we've opened the world up a bit by finding the Norse dwarfs, etc.
Yeah, no, and it's also such an interesting what's the difference? I guess the difference is where it goes, where it's all heading. So it also kind of gives you there's a narrative gravity to it. If you know what I mean. I don't know. I think it's kind of it's an interesting way to go about it. Because also I'm thinking if you go further back, than the heresy in 40K, because the heresy is kind of when humanity is frozen in amber in the Warhammer 40,000 timeline, right? It doesn't really progress from that point, technologically, really.
Yeah.
Although the names change, so that's why the heresy is very similar. But you get before the heresy, then you're right. You're getting into all the weird shit the Emperor is doing. But then you're also gonna get to start seeing the Xenos are really fascinating, because then it would be totally different. It would be a very interesting, very different place if you went further back. And that's actually one of the things that I find, I think when we were talking about the timeline with Old World, is that in reading about it, I kind of came to find, or came to be of the opinion that this is the actual fantasy timeline, although it's written as history. Most of the important stuff that happens in the history of the Old World happens right around this Great War against Chaos. And like it seems strange how and I would be interesting to like actually figure out like how they wound up in whatever present day was rather than in where the old world is about to start being set. And we're still curious to see like exactly when it's set. But because as we covered, like a lot of the most foundational like elements of the sort of fantasy world narrative kind of happen right around this Great War Against Chaos.
Yeah, and I think, I'm excited. Like, I don't know why, like, because I also want stories to progress, right? You want the next part of the story. I'm not sure. I've been watching The Last of Us recently, and they use like like I won't. There's no spoilers, but they use a process where they just introduce the characters straight away, bang, and then you'll smash cut in one episode, and immediately you get one character's backstory. And there's something about being given the information that there's some sort of story trauma or something to talk about, and then being like, oh, now you're going to find out about it, versus you're going to, I don't know, you learn the process first. Maybe it's something that works for me. Maybe people like just going through the story. It's kind of interesting. I'm like, it's just a storytelling device, I guess, but it's one that works for me especially. I've enjoyed finding out just about the northern dwarfs already.
Oh yeah.
Which is fun, and I also like that we've got Thorgrim Grudgebearer, and now I didn't know that he was in line to the throne at the same time as Ungrim Ironfist, and I don't know.
Oh shit!
And then I don't know if there was ever, if we now have like a little bit of a Game of Thrones style. Like, I know there was never like a civil war.
But Ungrim, I mean, that we'd have to get into Ungrim's backstory. But Ungrim's a Slayer King.
Yeah.
So Ungrim fucks up somewhere.
Yes.
Because otherwise he wouldn't be a Slayer. So does he like lose out on the crown because he like, I don't know, did some weird social thing that made him an outcast in dwarf society that was really minor and hilarious?
It said that Thorgrim proved himself more than Ungrim, but let's fucking just dive into Ungrim. Like, let's just
have a quick peek.
Let's just have a quick peek. This is fun. I'm enjoying this process. This is fun. Okay, so Ungrim, the Slayer King of Karak Karadin, the last of the line of Slayer Kings. Ooh. Okay, so his history. He broke. Oh, there doesn't seem to be a lot on him, at least on the wiki. He broke Queekhataker's siege of the Karak Eight Peaks. Held off Chaos army at the Battle of High Pass, and has slain the Dragon of Black Peak. With the help of Ogre Golfgag, Ungrim defeated Orc Nashrak Badtooth at Battle of Broken Leg Gully, thus earning the gratitude of his people.
Can we back up to whoever helped him? What was that guy's name?
Where?
With the help of
Ogre Golgfag.
Oh, really? Oh, okay. Like Golfag. He's the mercenary ogre.
Yes.
All right. Cool.
Yeah, Golfgag. Golgfag. Sorry, Golgfag. Yes.
I didn't realize that. Like, I'm not making you say that on purpose. I legitimately wanted to know who he worked with.
Yeah, being changed to Golg Pride is who he's now being changed
to.
Golg Pride. Ungrim defeated the Orc Nashrak Badtooth at the Battle of Broken Leg Gully, thus earning the gratitude of his people. But we don't get any, on the wiki, there's no big backstory. Is it something that you found was common in the Warhammer Fantasy Battle books where your main character would get, like, kind of like a lot of the story, and then the side lords wouldn't feature any? There has to be more for Ungrim.
I don't know where you're at, but over here on WarhammerFantasy.fandom.com, there is a lengthy description of Ungrim.
Okay, all right, I'm back. Okay, yeah, I've got this now. All right, yeah, good. Okay, so let's find out. The Last of the Slayer Kings. Okay, we want the backstory. Oh, no, I do not want to go see Whitney Houston. Get out of here, ads. Although, I would see Whitney Houston. Fucking fantastic. Okay.
She's very dead.
Whitney Houston? People don't need to be alive now to go see her. You can just see a hologram.
Whitney Houston's been dead for a long time. A long time.
R.I.P. to Whitney is what I'm going to say, as I've just learnt this today.
It's just devastating revelation.
I want to dance with somebody.
Revelation.
That's what I want to do.
I know.
Dance with somebody. Fucking Whitney's great. You don't like Whitney?
Uh,
What did she die of?
yeah, drugs.
Drugs!
Drugs. Yes, like all of the drugs.
Oh,
Whitney
where's
had a
her
hard life.
bodyguard? Where was her bodyguard?
Well, Kevin Costner was sick of the drugs.
That's why he makes that. He's in that really, 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 really trad red-pilled like show now, isn't he? What's it called? Like the most popular one in the US. Yellowstone. Oh, we talked about this on another show. Let's not talk
I don't
about,
know.
Let's not talk about Yellowstone anymore. We don't need to. It's too much.
maybe that's one of the ones I missed. But no, they haven't talked Yellowstone with me. My wife is always trying to get me to watch Yellowstone, and I have staunchly refused for some reason.
Please do.
I mean, look, you don't need to see anything more of Kevin Costner after you've seen Waterworld. It's the pinnacle of creation, and it's everything that needs to be said.
Only if you follow through the Horus Heresy of Waterworld, which is, of course, the incredible movie The Postman.
I actually have, because The Postman followed Waterworld, never saw it.
You are in for a 3-hour treat, my friend. You are about to have a fucking adventure. You haven't seen Ride, Postman, Ride. It's so good. It's so good.
Square Pass Postman watch party. Let's do this.
Yeah, I'm
in. I also am reflecting on why did I never see The Postman? And I think I came to the conclusion that in the 90s, it was impossible to watch a film that was 3 hours long. 3 hours was more hours than there were in a day. You couldn't it was a crime against film to have it of some of those 3 hours long. You just couldn't do it.
Okay,
so that's why.
Some quick bits. The Postman has got a 4.3 audience rating. Yeah,
that's
4
pretty good.
out of 5. Thank you. It's only got
Yep.
8% on Rotten Tomatoes, 6.1 out of 10 on IMDb, and it's got 2.5 on whatever the fuck real views are. Don't care about that. I'm trying to find if there are any reviews that are readily available.
Oh, certainly.
There must be
certainly.
some. There must be some
Are we
Rotten
looking
Tomatoes.
I mean, there must be.
There must be a review very quickly. Okay. No, Costner, the director, lavishes all sorts of attention on Costner, the actor, from laughable referential dialogue to loving close-ups of gauzy slow-motion montages. That's what I want. I want slow...
And yet somehow that's a splat rating. Somehow that's negative.
Somehow that's not a positive. You can go with the idea of the heroic postie implausibly rallying the downtrodden, or you can have fun making fun of its awfulness. Everything about that movie is absolutely fantastic.
This is kind of a sweet paternalistic review. Star director Kevin Costner's futuristic folly, The Postman, is so loopy that, for a while, one wants to shield it from a critical storm that has already begun.
That's beautiful. That's so well written. That's fantastic.
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
The first non-rotten review that I scroll past here actually has no quote. That's great.
It's got Will Patton in. He's fantastic. He's really good at it.
I know almost nothing about The Postman.
You are going to be very happy having watched The Postman. It's like Mad Max, but feel good. That's how I'm going to describe it.
That's straddling a few genres there. This is the year after Waterworld?
Yeah.
97? I think Waterworld is I feel like it's 96.
He put the Waterworld in the can, left it with the editors, and was like, I've absolutely nailed that. Everyone's going to love it. I'm going to move on. And then I'm going to do the same, but on the land as a postman. Yeah? And then through that filming, must have thought, I've just done 2 back-to-back bangers. And then the first one came out to not massive reception, although has become a cult classic. The second
I think it crushed as soon as it wasn't just playing in America. I'm pretty sure Waterworld was did quite fine outside of the United States. Specifically with my mother.
It's a
Loved
great.
Waterworld.
A lot of people saying, is it actually connected to Waterworld? My headcanon is that they're connected, obviously. That they're like that. So the postman happens first, leading to an eventual Waterworld, and very much like Dedrick Franz, you have just the great 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 grandson of the postman is then the guy in Waterworld, the fish
I
kid.
mean, I don't know. I didn't know this before. And by the way, Kevin Costner, what a filmography that I'm looking at right now. But sandwiched in between Waterworld and The Postman is a little film I like to call Tin Cup. Just an exceptional Rene Russo, and Kevin Costner rom-com golf comedy. Just fantastic.
Tin Cup is legit, and I'll not hear anything about against Tin Cup.
He plays golf with a shovel. I mean, you gotta love that. I mean, that's another homage to the working man when he when he gets mad at everything and then plays the rest of his round with a shovel.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
Yeah, Tin Cup is really good. I can't. Yeah, imagine Old World, but now Kevin Costner is Thorgrim. That's
I
where
like
we're
that
at.
you brought us back to it. Although, who would Kevin Costner play in Warhammer Fantasy
Wolfric.
more accurately? Wolfric? You're giving. I think you're giving him a lot. I feel like he would be elfish. I feel like he is more of an elfin.
No way.
type.
What Costner?
Yeah.
Nah, he's too down to earth. If Bruce Willis was still able, it'd be him and Bruce Willis, buddy cops. That's what you'd get.
Just the Averland buddy cop film.
There seem to be some vampires around here. Let's go find out. Like just
Vampires.
vampires.
Oh man, you know the great thing is that we get to see Kevin Costner bring his accent from Robin Hood Prince of Thieves back,
Oh my
which
god!
is
See,
fantastic.
that's
Just
why
a
he's Marcus.
lovely
What?
thing.
I didn't even know that was like deep seated. That was like lodged in the back of a neuron somewhere. I was like, he's obvious. He's Robin Hood. He's the Reichsmarshal. No, sorry, not him. The hunter. Okay, Ungrim.
Yeah.
We're back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
The tale of Ungrim's family, Clan Drakebeard, is full of woe. In those, hold on, let me make it so everyone can see. It's full of woe, as those in the clan of royal blood bear a history of calamities. Many years ago, in minus 650, King Baragor, Ungrim's 5 times great grandsire, suffered a terrible loss which drove him to take the oath of the Slayers. Val, remind me about the Slayer oath.
Well, I mean, I'm pretty sure that a Slayer oath is just you screw up something and you dishonor yourself, and then you have to find a spectacular death. So you have to like seek out death in combat against something.
Okay, that's pretty intense.
More or less. Is that about right?
I think that's it. I think it's like something so bad has happened, like you're dishonored and you must get honor back.
But you can't. There's no way out of it. It's a death thing. That's the thing. Is it's like you are. There's no like getting back your honor, which is why I find it kind of strange that this is a multi-generational Slayer issue. Also, if you're a Slayer and you're like marked for all eternity, how are you getting laid? How are you getting like? How are you getting those dwarf ladies to like be into you enough to like have offspring?
I reckon a dwarf lady sees a Slayer and she's like, yeah, that's it for me.
I suppose there's probably like Slayer dwarf ladies as well.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm just saying, girls do love a bad
quick
boy.
aside, as I missed International Women's Day.
Wednesday.
Do you think that because there's lots of opportunity to acknowledge that there are other sexes in the old world, because as far as I know, it's not like 40K where literally everyone reproduces asexually.
Somehow.
or doesn't reproduce at all.
Not the Eldar, though. They fucked a god into existence.
That's true. Maybe they do all the fucking for everyone else in history. But I mean, Space Marines, like, they just are grown in pods now. Orcs, as we've covered, are fungus
Space
somehow.
Marines, I feel like Space Marines, and I don't want to get too deep into this, but I feel like they dry hump a lot.
They're just grinding up on stuff.
like all sorts of things. They're just grinding
just
and
walking past
twerking on.
just walking past a lamppost and they're like, oh, hey brother. They just start, yes.
Brother! Yeah.
That is an interesting insight. Maybe we'll have to do that on our Tuesday show. What the hell was I talking about? Oh man. Oh well, yeah, women in the Warhammer Fantasy world, because obviously there's women in the Empire. There are female dwarves for sure. There used to be a female dwarf character. I can't remember who she is. There's definitely there's female elves. There's probably female ogres. I don't know if they ever explain where ogres come from. So yeah, maybe there's actually an opportunity for them to like add like a full spectrum of
it's from the
sexual experience.
So it is that from the Specialist Design Studio, so formerly Forgeworld, SDS as it's now known. And they're obviously doing Necromunda, and they're hot on making Necromunda ladies of all varieties.
True.
They also do Blood Bowl. I think there's some good opportunity. Because when we were picking, so for International Women's Day, when we were picking the ladies like that we could pick through, like we were like Beastmen, no ladies. Khorne, no ladies. Nurgle, no ladies. Some factions, but they're demons, right? So they're like androgynous to some degree, I think. Although they may be like Kurgath might be a he. I think it's probably a they. I'm not sure. It's a demon. I'm not really sure how that works.
I think demons are pretty much they them.
Yeah, I agree. Square bast. And then I think it would be fun to see some elements of that. Like, because you don't need it for orcs and goblins. That's not how that works, I don't think.
Well, no, because I think I think they sculpted orc cheerleaders in Blood Bowl, and then someone was like, right, never again.
Never again.
We're making them fungus. Find a way to never make these again.
Also, like, it's kind of odd, the conversation we're having, and I don't mean that towards you or me. I'm more self-reflecting and some introspection for a moment. Like, it's weird that we need there to be procreation for there to be women. They could just be women, and their process is not just as procreators. They could just like that's kind of like a reductive mentality I'm having. So I'm not putting that on you. I'm doing it myself. Like I'm just like they could just be women, and their job can not be procreation. They can be like they're women and they're men, but guess what? They're still all fucking fungus. Like that's still okay. They doesn't need to be. They don't need to fulfill only a role. America.
Well, hold on a tick here. I think perhaps. Well, you're disgusting. Revealed myself. What you're discussing, I believe, might be the cleavage between gender tropes or elements of gender and what I was referencing, which is actual sexual reproduction. So in order to have, I would say, gendered identities within a let's call it race or faction or whatever, one would need to have sexual reproduction, aka male-female reproduction, I would think, because you would need to have two different sexes to result in different genders. But holy shit, am I ever out of my depth here? And also, I don't think we have any examples of asexual species that can talk to us about, their gender roles, which is unfortunate. Maybe one day we'll encounter orc fungus that, identifies as other versions of orc fungus. I don't know. But you would have to have, I would think, at least some differences between, people. Chat, is chat bailing me out yet? You'd have to have some difference.
I never asked you to wade in.
Have it.
I never asked you to wade in. I was like, I'm just going to say something. We could just leave it there.
But no, I get your point. Though. I think it's a valid point. And what I'm saying is that in order to not have that question, and this is something I've said a lot in 40K situations, in order to not even have to deal with women, like the idea of asexual females or the idea of women gender
role. Yeah.
Roles, period. Yeah. They wrote that out of 40K. Literally wrote it out. So, for a long time, they did that. Like the Eldar, yes, they fucked a god into existence, but there aren't a lot of Eldar babies around. Like Tau. I don't even know how. I don't know. There are women Tau, but like that's one example, perhaps. Tyranids. There's one like real prominent female model I can think of. It's a Tyranid creature. Orcs, like I said, are asexually reproduced. Necrons do not reproduce at all. You can
But
go
at
down
one
the
point
line,
they were based.
and a lot of
At
them.
one point they were based on a society that did. Like
Yes, but I guess the point is that like in the current game state, you don't even have to consider it because they've just removed it from a problem, and that's why like chaos is like that too. It just becomes all asexual, so they don't ever have to discuss or think about it.
I think one of the weird things about fantasy, to flip it back to old world for a moment, and all of those kind of things, I mean, obviously I read Lord of the Rings when I was a kid. Then I started reading the Rift War series by Raymond E. Feist, if anyone's ever read that. And then I moved on to other stuff, and and then as you start to read more adult fiction, obviously a core mechanic of those is sex and the sexual kind of elements between relationships between the characters, and and it always feels odd, the Warhammer literature universe and everything else, because Necromunda is one of those weird ones, right? So Necromunda is they sell poisons and you're like, okay, and they sell meat and you're like, okay, and you're like, but are they going to sell the oldest thing that's been sold ever in the history of time? And they're like, no, there's none of that. They sell human slaves. I'm like, but what are they doing with those slaves? And they're like, nothing. Nothing, I promise. And, it's always weird. You've always got war, super okay. We can talk about dismembering bodies and murder on murder, and it's pretty horrific. But we never in these fantasy settings, 40k, Age of Sigmar, this generally talk about those relationships, the sexual relationships and sex as is. And maybe people want it to be left out, but I'm kind of like, you just talking about the horrific feelings you were getting watching a dwarf get debearded and then murdered. Yeah, I'm like, where's the steamy hot tub dwarf sex? That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I think you're absolutely correct. And I think we have the Orcish cheerleaders to blame for this.
There's a brothel in early Gaunt's Ghosts. I did not know that. Did you know that?
What was that?
There's a brothel in early Gaunt's Ghosts.
Well, that's cool. Let's get some later Gaunt's Ghost brothel action.
Yeah.
No, it is a very sexless, at least at the miniature level, very sexless world. And also, just quick, definitely not old world aside, I think their best female miniature ever made was revealed yesterday.
Oh yes, we had female representation yesterday from Games Workshop as a miniature, but not their staff. Can't show a lady on the screen.
No.
Just
no,
FYI,
no.
That would be
no. We don't want to get them. We don't want them to get too big for their. I guess also britches.
Right. Okay. I think we should. I think we've generally covered a topic, and I think we've not hit a landmine. So I think I'm proud of us.
Okay,
right.
we could go. We could keep going until we totally destroy ourselves. But no, yeah, all right, square bast. Let's roll.
Square bast. I don't know if you remember the start of the show where you were like, the Chinese are taking over the moon.
Oh yeah, the Chinese. I mean,
we can talk about that all day. The moon. Who owns the moon? Yeah, that's what I want to know.
Chairface owns the moon, which is Cha. One of my favorite references of all time.
It's a good reference. Okay, right. So, Clan Drakebeard, right? Many unfortunate situations. The nature of Baragor's shame has been forgotten by his people as a sign of respect, and secret is passed down from Slayer King to the next until one can make atonement. Oh! It's commonly assumed that this is the cause of the death of his daughter at the claws of dragon Skaldrak, while on her way to marry the son of High King of Karazakarak. In any case, Baragar became the first Slayer King. He was torn between conflicting vows, the Slayer oath to seek out death, and the oath of a king to protect his people. In the end, a good dwarf sense prevailed, and he found a way to honour all commitments. He founded the famed Slayer Shrine of Karak Karadin, and the largest shrine to Grimnir. Thus he established the haven for slayers that continues to this day. His son inherited his vows and continued the lines of Slayer kings. So okay, so Ungrim didn't fuck up. He's just inherited his great grandsire's Slayer oath, and they've and then it's passed on from Slayer king to Slayer king, and their job is to guide other Slayers versus ever completing the oath.
Also, to answer the question that can send us on that very deep tangent about sex and gender in fantasy, seems like he was already alive when his great grandpappy did the boo boo.
He was alive.
Yeah, it seems like Ungrim was alive.
No. Oh, how do you mean?
Well, it says here, atop his head, blah, blah, blah. For Ungrim is both Slayer and a king, more than likely the last of the line of the Slayer kings of Karak Kadrin. Ipso facto, he cannot make more.
Oh, yeah, he's the last one.
Because he was probably already alive when his great-grandpappy did whatever he did, right?
No, I think it's been passed down. I think all the other Slayer kings fucked away. And then Ungrim was like, it's not for me. I'm just a Slayer through and through. End of the line. Or he didn't want to. Like, obviously, that's everyone's choice. Be a dink if you want. Although he's not a dink. He's a sink. Single income. No kids. So, yeah, I'm not sure. I absolutely love sticking TikTok culture over the top of Ungrim Iron Fist. Like, that's perfect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Also, immediately I'm thinking he'd actually be a sing. He'd be a single income, no beardlings.
Yeah. Doesn't Ungrim's son die during the Storm of Chaos? There you go. Angry Pants, thank you. We don't know that yet. He was.
Maybe that's why he's likely the end.
In his youth, when King Harrockson of the council, so we know about this. Ungrim Iron Fist was perhaps the most acclaimed candidate at having the head of the giant he had slain dragged forth, which took a score of dwarfs so that all could marvel at its size. In the end, however, Thorgrim was earned it by bringing back representatives of the isolated Norse Dwarfs. So that's literally, so Thorgrim picked Ungrim to the post by just being like, I found some dwarfs in the north and we're bringing them back in the fold. That's how he won the kingship.
How could this guy even be in the running? What is he, the Donald Trump of dwarves? Like how? Like he is the king of the shamed dwarves. How could he even be considered for the big kingship?
Because he killed the giant.
Uber king.
It's like he killed a giant and then like laid it before the lads. That's what they're impressed by, I think.
Wild.
Okay.
I don't even know.
Yeah. And I don't know about his son. I'm trying to find the content of his son dying. So if anyone can find it and quote it for me, that would be good. It doesn't say he had a son. So, okay, so then we've got Ungrim as one of the lords. Ungrim then unlikely to make it in to the fiction.
No, because if he was in the running, so he's also there.
So we're also going to get an Ungrim model.
I would think so.
Fucking cool.
Which would be great. It'd be great to get an update of one of the more derpy models that lasted to the very end of 8th edition.
Absolutely. Okay. So now we've got young Ungrim. We've got young Ungrim and young Ungrim, young Thorgrim, and then are we going to get a Grombrindle? Surely he's already alive in the old world at that point.
I don't know how Grombrindle actually fits into things. I don't know if there's lore around Grombrindle or if he's just like a promotional guy that often gets trotted out. I don't know shit about Grombrindle.
Okay, well let's go find out about Grombrindle because I don't know shit about Grombrindle either. I know he's a white dwarf. Let's go find his history if we can. No, we've got an overview. Origins. Okay, some say the white dwarf is none other than Snorri Whitebeard, the dwarf king of Karaz Akarak. Hold on, let me just find this. Who was one of the only dwarfs to receive due and proper respect of the high elf Phoenix King of Ulthuan. That was long time ago, though, before the War of the Beard. And if it's true, then the white dwarf is truly an ancestor, and in some uncanny way must surely have crossed the bounds of mortality. Oh, so he's like an eternal. That's pretty good. Oh, he's like a mythical folk hero. He's even in Blood Bowl. Maybe he's kind of a Tom Bombadil.
Oh, ooh, that's a good one.
That's a good one, right? He could be that Tom Bombadil of the situation.
It's probably not as fun.
As Bombadil, I don't know, gets you drunk, turns up with a keg, and is like, "All right, you telling me you're gonna turn back the fucking the white dwarf? Right. He's got a magazine and a keg."
It's got you know what? Yeah, it comes. You think it's porn, but nope, it's White Dwarf. Hands up. Did you read any of the poems that Tom Bombadil sings in Lord of the Rings, or did you skim all of those?
I did not read any of the.
Nor I really do wonder what percentage of wasted youth do not read Tom Bombadil, and then later in life are upset by how Tom Bombadil is taken for granted. We have someone in chat claiming to have read the poems of Tom Bombadil. Sure, bud.
Well, I'm going to read one right now.
Let's
There
go.
is an inn, a merry old inn, beneath an old grey hill, and there they brew a beer so brown that the man in the moon himself came down one night to drink his fill. The ostler has a tipsy cat that plays a 5-string fiddler, and up and down he runs his bow, now squeaking high, now purring low, now soaring in the middle. The landlord keeps a little dog that is mighty fond of jokes. When there's good cheer among the guests, he cocks an ear at all the jests and laughs until he chokes. Tom Bombadil, everyone. There we go. So that's the White Dwarf, I think. He's a merry, merry fellow. Are you out? Are you done?
I feel like those sections, because they're like sort of stuck in the forest with him. I feel like everyone who reads Lord of the Rings for the first time also gets stuck in that forest, and like the book just does not get completed for like another 6 months to a year because you're just stuck on Tom Bombadil for a very long time.
Okay, so the update that we've got is Garagrim Iron Fist. So it turns out that Ungrim did have a son. Do not worry, father. I will fight for the both of us, and if the time is right, I will gladly die for both of us as well. Garagrim Ironfist was the only son of Ungrim Ironfist, Slayer King, and he became the war mourner of the Slayer Keep. There's some absolutely fucking rad artwork for this. Hold on, let me show you everyone. There you go. You can see, absolutely baller.
Nice.
You like this? Yeah, I think this is
by
good.
Adrian Smith.
Yeah.
He was a good guy.
And
I don't know if he was a good guy, but I liked him.
His beard was woven into 5 thick plaits and golden discs stamped with scowling faces of dwarf ancestor gods dangled from each. His scalp was surmounted... Oh, we don't need any of that. History, origins, death. Okay, unfortunately, let's go to this. At some point before the end times,
and the death, yada, yada, yada.
Yeah, yada, yada, yada. He was ginger, and then, at some point before the end times, Garagim finally found his doom in unknown circumstances. For reasons also unknown. Oh, wow. His father decided to keep or renew his own Slayer oath as he retained his title of Slayer King until his death. As King Ungrim's only son, his death left Caradin without direct heir, the fact not lost on the rest of the noble sons of Clan Drakebeard. The clan thanes each sought to lead throngs to glory and thus catch the eye of the warrior king. And there you go. So the update is unknown.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
I really don't have a real good grip on what Slayers are all about now, because how are they having kids? And like carrying on with regular life. That doesn't sound like the life of an outcast. Everything Gotrick taught me about Slayers led me to believe that they were just like really like angry weirdos out looking for a fight.
I think the situation...
How are they running a kingdom? How's he running a kingdom? You know what I mean?
So I think the original Slayer King, this is the situation. Original Slayer King was like, right,
lay it on me.
I got to be a king and I got to be a Slayer. How do I marry those two things? And then he was like, very much like rich people when they go to prison. He was like, I'm rich. It doesn't matter. So then he just made a shrine. Yeah, right? It was like, whatever. Yeah, he's like, yeah, I've got an oath, but like, I'm like helping other Slayer. Like, I'm kind of like helping I do charity work. So that's what I do. And then every generation, he's like, yeah, you're the Slayer King, but don't worry, you haven't actually got to slay, as they say. So, Drew Barry, thanks for resubscribing. So I think that's the answer. I think every
Rob,
other Slayer has to slay, but I think when you're a king, you don't necessarily have to like follow the rules of the working class.
You nailed it.
So
They absolutely nailed it.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, I donated £10,000 to charity from 100 mil Gucci. That's how it works. Yeah, so he's just a Gucci guy, but his son did die sadly. So, because his son didn't really get the memo, his son was like, "Right, so we're Slayers, right, Dad?" And he's like, "Yeah, well, kind of." But
I mean, you're a Slayer, but I like fine wines. I'm what they call a limousine Slayer.
Yes, yeah. They become king and slayer after they become king. So before they are king, they are just a regular dwarf. But the original one was also a slayer and a king. So, and that's a great place to wrap this up, because leave in the comments below on YouTube whether or not you would be a slayer or a king. If you became a king slayer, what would you do? Yeah, which way around would you?
Short King Slayer, guys. Short King Slayer.
Val, thanks very much for being on the show and leading the show and being the king of the show. The Slayer King, some may say.
Oh, you flatter me, Rob. But we all know that the real star of this show. I went the wrong way, didn't I?
No, you did it. You nailed it. Square Bast.
I nailed it. There, Square Bass.
Square Bast. If you would like to ask any questions for us for the podcast or the next episode of Square Bast, which is every Thursday live on the Norse Wargamer on twitch.tv/NorseWargamer, 11 a.m. UK time. I don't know what time that is in other nations. Then obviously you can also
6 a.m. here in the Eastern Standard Time, Bravo.
Yeah. If you ever want to email in any questions to us, you can at ungriminfist@gmail.com.
Gmail.com.
if you're interested. And thanks to our show sponsor, Dick Pills.
Dickpills.com. I'm so happy to have him back. It's been a long time since we last had the opportunity to plug Dickpills.com. So really pleased to have them back. Also, Ungrim Iron Fist is a bitch at gmail.com. Deep Lore of the podcast, probably forever gonna be the gmail.com, because I am opening that account right now.
Right now, live as we speak. Thanks everyone in the chat for joining us live on Twitch. You guys are fantastic. I'll see you guys soon. And if you've enjoyed this, then do let people know about it. Square Bast.